Good evening. I'll call this meeting to order here in council chamber at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy,
Present.
Macias,
Present.
Razak,
Present.
Timian,
Present.
Finch,
Present.
McNeil,
Present.
Castro,
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
All right, thank you very much. There's no remote electronic attendance needed. So we move first to item 4.1, a proclamation from the Moline Fire Department to declare October 6 through 12, 2024 as Fire Prevention Week. Would you like to speak, Chief?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, members of council. Fire Prevention Week was established in 1922 by President Woodrow Wilson to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. It's observed annually during the week of October 9th, the anniversary of the fire, to raise public awareness about fire safety and fire prevention. The purpose of Fire Prevention Week is to educate the community on fire hazards, promote fire safety practices, and encourage individuals and families to prepare and prevent fire emergencies. Through the national observance, we aim to reduce the risk of fires and safeguard lives and property in our community. Mayor, if you would
Yes.
like to
Happy
read the
to.
proclamation.
Happy to read the proclamation, which says, whereas the city of Moline is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern and homes are where people are at greatest risk from fire, with more than 3 out of 5 home fire deaths resulting from fires in homes with no working smoke alarms, and whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and working smoke alarms can mean the difference between life and death in a fire, and whereas Moline's residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sound of a smoke alarm and knows how to respond, including practicing a home fire escape plan twice a year, sleeping with the bedroom door closed, making sure to check that every room has a smoke alarm, especially where people sleep. And whereas Moline's firefighters, through the efforts of the Moline Fire Department, are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries by increasing public awareness and education on the importance of working smoke alarms and fire prevention practices. And whereas this year's Fire Prevention Week theme, Smoke Alarms, Make Them Work for You, effectively serves to remind us all of the simple actions we can take to protect ourselves and our loved ones from fire by ensuring that we have working smoke alarms in our homes and by testing them regularly. Now, therefore, I, Sangeeta Rayapati, Mayor of Moline, do hereby proclaim the week of October 6 through 12, 2024 as National Fire Prevention Week. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
And thanks for your department. All right, is there public comment this evening, Chief?
Richard Pierce.
Okay. You have 3 minutes, thank you. And Chief times you.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I signed in not being sure whether or not I'm here for one of the committee of the whole items. I didn't know if I needed to sign in to be able to respond or not, so I could cede my time. It's on.
Richard's here for on the developer side for the Moline Housing Authority, so.
Okay, so he's part of your
Yes.
group of
Yes, ma'am.
presenters. Great,
So I
so
can
you
do
don't
that.
need to
Yes, ma'am.
speak. Okay, thank you. No other public comment?
Yeah, Danielle Peterson.
Okay.
Hello, Danielle Pinkerton. I'm here in regards to agenda items 7.9 and 7.10 as a resident of that neighborhood. And is my understanding from my attendance at the rezoning meeting that this is pretty much going through regardless. So I'm just hoping that the city council does take note of the traffic issues that is going to have for that neighborhood and all of those residents as we move forward. It's already a safety issue, and by almost doubling the amount of residents that are going to be on that like dead end area, it's going to create a pretty big problem. Most of our neighbors are not aware of the rezoning that's about to happen, but the ones that are aware are very concerned with what issues it might cause.
Thank you very much.
That's it, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have some to be read into?
I have 2 to read aloud
Okay.
for people that can't be here.
Please continue.
All right.
You'll reset the clock, Chief.
The
Okay.
proposed rezoning isn't compatible with the surrounding area and defining characteristics of the proposed zoning district and will cause adverse impacts on the capacity or safety of the portion of street network influenced by the rezoning, parking problems, flooding issues, and possible environmental impacts. Adding an additional 75 or more people in the small area will generate excessive noise pollution, excessive nighttime lighting, or other nuisances. Question: whether there is an adequate supply of land available in the subject area and surrounding community to accommodate the zoning and community needs. Question: planned use development would be more apt to produce a rational quality redevelopment based on the size of the site, 2.28 acres, and the development challenges related to topography, steep slopes, drainage issues, and the provision of water and sewerage connections. Below is a list of major concerns brought forward with a brief description. The applicant is required to complete and/or address. Requires street study with patterns in the proposed rezoning area, 1809 14th Avenue. 14th Avenue and 13th Avenue currently both have parking/restrictions. Individuals are only allowed to park on one side of the street. The south side of the street is permissible parking beginning on 16th Street heading east, continuing to 18th Street A, which curves to the left, north. There are currently no traffic signals or signs, stop or yield. An influx of traffic in this already narrow street will cause major traffic issues in the future. When traveling on 18th Street A, turn left west onto 13th Avenue. There are currently no traffic signals or signs, stop or yield, to control the flow of traffic. An increased traffic flow will be detrimental at this intersection because of the many blind spots. Travel west on 13th Avenue, the next proposed rezoning area, identified by the applicant as 1803 13th Avenue, although there is no record of this address on the map of Moline. There is currently a one-way street on the right, north at the intersection of 13th Avenue and 18th Street. This one-way street is already a major safety concern that needs to be addressed by the city regardless. An increased traffic flow and adding crosswalks proposed by the applicant will cause more hazards and congestion at this intersection. 13th Avenue also has parking/restrictions. Individuals are only allowed to park on one side of the street. The left south side of the street is permissible parking beginning on 18th Street heading west, continuing to 16th Street. An influx of traffic in this already narrow street will cause major traffic issues in the future. I've raised concerns about the ongoing drainage issues along 13th Avenue. For many years, 13th Avenue has experienced flooding during heavy rains. Flash flooding causes 13th Avenue to be unsafe for travel during these times. In addition, they cause residential damage to homes, flooded basements, yard damage due to the influx of water from all four directions, north, south, east, and west, from surrounding streets and hillsides. Water flows down 13th Avenue east, accumulating at the sewerage grates located near the intersection, bottom of 18th Street A and 13th Avenue.
Thank you.
That was Terry Verbeck, 1827 13th Avenue, Moline. This is from Patty Sano, 1827 13th Avenue, Moline. In the interest of the negatively impacted residents affected, this is intended to be entered into the record as an interested party letter of concern for consideration of the City Council of the City of Moline. Request for revoke/denial or postponement for approving a comprehensive plan amendment, future land use rezoning, 2024-13-PC, and reclassification of zoning, 2024-27-PC. With the perception that the applicant is acting in bad faith, you owe it to the current residents to do a deep dive of all the submitted documents from the past year as a whole. Even if there is one discrepancy, the applicant should be required to withdraw the current proposals. The applicant would need to submit the proposals in their entirety / make clear the full intent / final outcome of the project. The applicant has repeatedly identified language categorizing it as a R-4 1 to 6 family dwelling district while combining it with language specific to an R-6 multifamily residence district, ultimately circumventing the planned use development district requirement of 5 acres needed. My primary concern is what specifically does the applicant intend to build? There are so many variations, it is unclear, causing all documents referenced with varied language categorizing invalid. I also request clarification on the actual parcel numbers, PIN. They have been identified inconsistently throughout the legal documents. PIN 17-05-200-024, PIN 17-05-200-022, PIN 17-50-200-022. This would cause all documents referenced with an incorrect PIN invalid. There are also streets identified in Tract 1 and Tract 2 as Washington and Jefferson, although these are not mentioned on the map of Moline. All the dissimilar and mixed language used significantly changes the meaning and intent of the proposals. In closing, there is not an adequate supply of land available in this area or surrounding community to accommodate an additional 75 or more individuals. Rezoning this district will have adverse impacts on the surrounding streets' ability to accommodate increased traffic flow and will create additional parking problems. This will cause safety issues to vehicles and pedestrians. The final decision must be made in the best interest and good of the community as a whole. No benefits will be derived by the current residents if 75 or more individuals are added to this small area of land. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that all for public comment, Chief? Move to number 5, questions on the agenda. There's one thing to bring your attention to. Item 17.2 didn't have the correct ordinance or / council bill attached. The correct one is at your seats. We'll continue to make sure that doesn't happen, but you have it in front of you. Any questions on that? Hearing none, we move to item 7.1. A resolution approving the temporary full closure of 12th Street between mid-block of 4th / 5th Avenue and mid-block of 5th / 6th Avenue for a special event that is sponsored by Mercado on 5th, Inc. in conjunction with the Dia de los Muertos Parade and after party scheduled for Saturday, November 2, 2024. Closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic and authorizing the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event. Mr. Vitas.
Very, very briefly, staff is recommending denial of the request as indicated in the explanation from the Special Events Committee.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Castro, seconded by Razak. Discussion. Ms. Castro.
Can you tell me what, is it more of a safety issue as far as not wanting to close the streets? Is it a matter of where the traffic is gonna go outside, be diverted to, or?
I think, Barry, you were involved in the Special Events Committee, not I, so if you can address the question.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, there are public safety personnel on the Special Events Committee that was familiar with the event last year. So one of their comments was the crowd size and questioning if the crowd size warranted adding 12th Street to the closure. 5th Avenue is already closed for that day. And then we looked at the software that we use to estimate crowd size, and that was another reason that crowd size, we didn't feel justified it. And then also just keeping 12th Street open for access to River Drive on that Saturday, because it would be closed otherwise from 9 to 6 is the request. So as far as folks accessing the parade itself, it would be preferable to keep 12th Street open. Maybe we monitor the crowd size. If it continues to grow, maybe next year would warrant it, but that was the view this time.
I have one more question.
Yes.
And the reasoning for Mercado wanting to close it was because of the anticipated crowd, or for setup, tear down,
correct.
or?
Correct. I think they were getting a read on social media that there's more interest in the after party this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, the motion is,
No, take the vote. So the motion was to approve. So if you are in favor, say aye, otherwise nay.
thank you. So,
Could you repeat it again?
yes, so
Might wanna
the
explain
motion,
what it-
yeah, please explain.
The motion that was made was to approve the resolution. So if you are in favor of the street closure, vote aye. If you're not in favor, vote no.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Is that a question hand? That looks like, okay. Hearing nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Yeah, I need to take we need to roll call it.
All right. Alderperson Schmidt?
Nay.
Murphy?
Nay.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Nay.
Finch?
Nay.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
All right. 4 ayes, 4 nays.
I'm not allowed to ask a question now, am I? I will say, I want to make sure that the costs to close it, because I will vote aye, are recouped by the city. So I will vote aye with that knowledge. So it passes.
5 ayes, 4 nays, that motion carries.
All right, so we move to 7.2. A resolution approving the special event application for the annual lighting on the Commons event scheduled for Saturday, November 23, 2024. Closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic and authorizing the use of public property in conjunction with said event for the uses and purposes more particularly described in Exhibit A. Special events, Mr. Dykeisen? This is an annual
It's
item.
simply an annual
Yeah,
event that is
yeah.
held downtown on the John Deere Commons and is traditional to close this portion of the street for the festivities. Recommending approval.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We move to 7.3. A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to accept and attest to one deed of dedication for street right-of-way, more particularly described herein, to allow construction to proceed on capital improvement project number 1450, 38th Street reconstruction, 32nd to 35th Avenue.
Madam Mayor, members of council, the staff is recommending approval of the engineering department's request for the approval of the deed of dedication at 3729 33rd Avenue from Mr. Richard E. Holman and Ms. Brenda S. Holman, as outlined.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.4, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a lease agreement with the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation to utilize Bridgepoint 485, 1 Montgomery Drive for the U.S. Marines Toys for Tots program and approving the waiver of the lease fees from October 2024 through December 2024.
Madam Mayor, members of council, annually, the U.S. Marine Corps has utilized the Bridgepoint 485 building, even prior to our acquisition of the property from the Heritage Church, for purposes of collection and distribution of toys for all of the area children. We're recommending approval. This will likely be the last year. We thought last year would be, but since the building is still standing, we've agreed to do it, and subject to them providing for security on the premises due to potential break-ins that we've had.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.5, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Moline, the Rockland County Metropolitan Mass Transit District, MetroLink, and Quad City Arts for consulting services for a public art installation at 1315 4th Avenue. Mr. Matthias?
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Moline, Quad City Arts, and MetroLink. We've been talking about the Leading Light project. This was something that was identified by corporate counsel, something we needed. We were going to be signing off on this contract. That was a suggestion from them to have an IGA that just dictates what will happen in the event of everything. So with your approval of this, we can move on to the next phase, which would be get this project out there, get the call for artists out there, and take advantage also of this grant that MetroLink has of $200,000 that we can integrate into this project and get our first major public art project done. So we're looking for your approval of this. MetroLink's very excited, as well as Quad City Arts, to get started, and of course your Public Art Commission.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.6, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a licensing agreement with 5 and 15 Moline Apartments LLC to utilize an existing awning to additionally install use and maintain a sign cabinet for advertising / identification purposes only adjacent to the main lobby entrance door frame and attached to the building facade at 501 15th Street that will overhang public right-of-way. Mr. Mathias.
Yeah, this is just a routine item. We caught that they wanted to put this sign up, and we just wanted to make sure the awning was on a licensing agreement as well as a sign. So this is really just routine to allow that sign to be there over the right-of-way.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
I think
Motion
I
to
heard, I heard Macias first, and then
Second.
you got seconded by
Thank
Finch. Thank you. Any conversation? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.7, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a memorandum of understanding regarding the 2024 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant between the City of Moline, City of Rock Island, and County of Rock Island, setting forth the terms for submitting a joint application for funding to be utilized for criminal justice purposes, and authorizing city staff to do all things necessary to submit the subsequent grant application currently available through the U.S. Department of Justice 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program. Chief.
So those of you that have been on council for many years have seen this annually. I do apologize for the timing. The grant dropped from DOJ in between council meetings. And by the time we got the information back from our co-applicants, county and the city in Rock Island, put us up against that deadline. So that's why you see it on both agendas. So for the city of Moline, we've gotten this annually for many, many years. It has been very useful for us to upgrade equipment. Last year, we used it to outfit a new portion of our fleet vehicle. This year, we're looking to upgrade our gas mask inventory. So staff would recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.8, a resolution approving an amendment to the rules and regulations of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners of the City of Moline, Illinois, 2024 to reflect the new process of appointing a deputy fire chief. Yes, Chief.
So the past few weeks, we've made some amendments to ordinance that allows for the appointment of a deputy chief. And this just corresponds with those changes. We had to make some changes to the Fire and Police Commission rules and regulations. So that's the final piece of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.9, an ordinance amending Chapter 25, Planning and Development of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 25-2100, Official Comprehensive Plan, Adopted Territorial Application by enacting thereto an amendment to the Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 10, entitled Future Land Use, 1809 14th Avenue and 1803 13th Avenue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mathias.
So I'm going to present on both point 9 and point 10 here. David, do you have my slides in there by chance? Oh, you're already ready for me to go. Thank you. So this is a comp plan amendment. The first thing I want to point out is the explanation was wrong for the comprehensive plan amendment. It should say where the change for the comprehensive plan amendment is low density residential to medium density residential. So that's 1 to 6 units to 6 to 14 units, right? So that's been clear in all the staff reports, but that was not listed correctly in the explanation. And the other item, just to be very clear, is a rezoning from R2 single family residential to R4 PUD, which is the 1 to 6 family dwelling district. But we're to be very clear here, a PUD has a site plan attached to it, a landscaping plan attached to it, all those things. They have to do exactly what's on that site plan. And that's the zoning approval that they're getting with the plan unit development. So this is a previous, we're going to go through the site plan here in a minute, but this development would consist of 5 fourplexes, so 20 affordable housing units, and that is going to be owned and operated by the Moline Housing Authority. They have a grant from IDA, the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and that's where they're getting the funding to do this project. So here, these are the 2 parcels. They will be combined into one by way of a minor subdivision. The pins, there was once again, some questions on a staff report at Plan Commission about the PIN numbers, but those are all in the newspaper. Those have all been noticed correctly. The PINs are 1705, 200022, and 024. So this is roughly a 2.25 acre site. And these are the dimensions of the properties between 13th Avenue and 14th Avenue, and this is east of 18th Street. So the existing conditions of the site, there's a very old house on the site built in 1881. It's unfortunate that this will have to come down or be removed from the site. And there are a number of old mature trees on the site. Unfortunate, but it's also what makes this a rare site and a rare opportunity for development of this kind. One thing that was pointed out at the Plan Commission meeting was that they felt, some of the neighbors felt this didn't reflect the actual slopes of the property. These are just pictures to show you what the site looks like, what the house looks like, but I do have a topo plan that I'll show you in a moment that can show you the exact slopes. So to just go over some of the basics of the development, 5 fourplex buildings, whether it's called a fourplex or a multifamily building, those are the same in our code, and that's, the bottom line is there'll be 4 units in each building. There's two different building types, which I'll show you in a second. There's also a community building, which will be used for office purposes. There's not going to be an on-site Moline Housing Authority person there, but that'll be used for the residents to use, or other folks that work for the authority to use. There'll be an office building there. There'll be a community garden, some outdoor amenities as well, and then a 45 space parking lot as well. The stormwater, one of the things we're going to talk about, and one of the reasons you put this out there to the neighborhood is you learn about issues that you didn't know as a staff person, right? And so one of the things we've learned is that there are some drainage issues currently in the neighborhood, specifically on 13th Avenue. But what I want to emphasize is that the stormwater detention that's shown on this map, right, to the northwest of the site, they provided the calculations and the reports. That has to accommodate all of the drainage that this site will bring in, right? So we're going from a site that's more pervious than it is now because we're adding a lot of paving and buildings, but that stormwater detention is built to handle storm events. It'll all drain to there, and then ultimately from that detention, it gets slowed down and drains into the storm. Utilities-wise, we're connecting to an existing water main and sewer main to the northwest of the site. So building design, like I said, there's 2 building types. One is a 2-story model. Both have 4 units. One's a 1-story model with each having its own entrance to the outside, whereas that 2-story, they're entering from the inside. It's a great landscaping plan. This meets our landscaping code at 100%. We had even some things missing since Plan Commission that were added. So this is the final landscaping plan at 100% compliance. I realize there's some sadness, and I have it too, about those mature trees leaving, but I will assure you that we are putting a lot of green back on the site. And if you pay attention to the east yard there, that's a buffer yard, so that's required when you're going up against a different zoning type, in this case from R4 to R2. We do have steep slopes on this site. So one of the reasons people would ask, like, why do we need a PUD here? Because this is a land use that they could apply for a special use and do with the infill standards. But unfortunately with that, there were just some requirements that made the development more difficult. Each building had to be on its own lot. We weren't able to, we have steep slope requirements that would say that these slopes that are between 20 and 30% and greater than 30% need to be preserved anywhere from 75 to 85% on site. It's not possible if you want to do this development on this site. This site needs virtually to be regraded 100%. So that is something, that's one of the reasons we need the PUD, is that flexibility from those natural resource standards. As far as consistency with the comp plan goes, I know this is a really wordy slide, but I'm going to get through this quickly here for us. So number one thing to, you have your review criteria for the comp plan amendment that's in that staff report for PC 2413. Sean Foley did a very good job writing that up and answering all the questions about why we feel we should approve a comp plan amendment for this. How is it consistent with the current comp plan? Like I mentioned, this is a land use that would be allowed with our residential infill standards with a special use permit. The comp plan does have goals, right, to provide safe and sanitary housing for all current and future residents of Moline by preventing blight through code enforcement, redevelopment, rehab, conservation, and by encouraging new residential development that fulfills unmet markets. That's from the 2001 comp plan. And like I said, we've got other goals and objectives in the comp plan, which would lead us to believe that this is a development we should be supporting in our city. as well as the annual action plan, which is part of our community developments division of our CED department. This is another goal that's right in line with that. And the comprehensive plan amendment, I would say, is consistent with those policies and goals. So why are we requiring a comp plan amendment for this? Well, there is one map in there that's a future land use map, as I mentioned, that shows low density residential. And so to make sure we're at 100% consistency, we feel as staff, if you're going to approve the rezoning to the PUD, you should approve the comp plan amendment along with that. Just a couple points. In the 1958 comp plan, this was multifamily residential. In the 1966 update, it was designated as residential low density that would have allowed moderate sized apartments. And so with the 2001 comp plan, that's when the land use was changed to low density residential, and then R2 by staff after that was done to, in theory, match up with that land use map. So that's the one change to the comp plan that we're requesting, would be that future land use map for this district. And I'll finish off here just with the concerns from the neighbors that we've heard. The 13th Avenue drainage issue, that is something that engineering and utilities have stepped up to say they will look to address that next year in FY25 through the, there's a ditch program where we can actually get, there's really no ditch on 13th Avenue, so there's certainly drainage that could be done there could be issues that could be prevented with drainage alone, reshaping the land there, and I think they could also look at stormwater improvements in the future if they wanted to. Storm sewer connection improvements, I should say. And then another issue that was brought up was traffic. So we had our director of engineering look at this. These points are from him in his analysis of it, but in his, he looked at the ITE trip generation of 20 low-rise units. He said that's roughly 80 to 140 trips per day that this would generate, which he doesn't consider excessive. He did say the streets are narrow, and that's kind of an existing traffic calming speed reduction measure that's already in place. So, the Plan Commission had brought up speed humps, bumps, bump outs, things like that. His opinion was that speed humps and bumps are not used on city streets due to cost and impacts to emergency service providers. He did say that narrow streets usually do not allow room for bump outs. With channeling of stormwater can be an issue sometimes with that. But he didn't rule out bump outs completely, I would say. And then finally, with respect to the one-way street, he had pointed out that right now a lot of people are probably going the wrong way on that one way. Obviously, it's because of ease, but there's not. His opinion being, if there's more traffic on that road, it may actually lead to some people following the traffic laws more. If you realize you're not going to be able to get down that street without somebody coming the other direction as much. But the point being, he's looked at this from a traffic standpoint. He doesn't feel that a traffic study is required, and he doesn't feel that there needs to be major changes to the street network with this development. So to be clear on what our recommendation is here, it's to recommend approval of the comp plan amendment. That would be changing the future land use map from low density residential, 6 or less units per acre, to medium density residential, 6 to 14 units per acre. And then the next item that you'll be evaluating and determining that will be the rezoning from R2 one family residence district to R4 PUD 1 to 6 family dwelling district plan unit development. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those. Rick Pierce, who's with on the development side, is here, as well as Taylor, who's been the engineer on this project. So happy to answer any questions.
Did that after.
And I'm also on the line to answer any questions.
Oh,
And
that's Mr. Afun.
Yeah, Mr. Afun with the Moline Housing Authority.
Thank you.
Motion to.
Thank you.
Second. Motion by Timmy and seconded by Finch. Discussion. Mr. Timmy.
Quick question, Chris. I noticed that this is a minor subdivision, and I don't see sidewalks on the plan.
Yeah, so right now yes, you'll notice that there's a retaining wall on the north side of this property. You'll also notice that there's a connection, that they're showing a sidewalk connection to the northwest of the property. And this is something I should have brought up in my report. But as this current is showing, there's a retaining wall on that side and not a sidewalk on the 13th Avenue side. But that's a topography issue.
Okay.
More so than anything else. So the way I left it with the developer was, in my opinion, this is the zoning and the conditions that we put in. We haven't put anything about the sidewalk, and I think that's an issue that will have to still be discussed prior to building permit approval.
I just think with the park right there, we might expect young families in these units. A sidewalk would probably benefit, especially if the streets are narrow. I don't want kids or anyone walking in the street. That's
And I don't want to speak for the developer, even though I am here. I think it's just a topography issue for them. It's really, I don't know if there's a place to do it right now, but I think it's something we've got to address and make sure pedestrian connections are. But you can see on, excuse me. This site plan here does show, walks, and so that's a retaining wall on the north side.
Thank you. Other questions at this point? Okay. Yes, Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, how do we measure ongoing to ensure that, like, we think the traffic plan is adequate, but what if when we find out it's not, what's our way to check that, are the milestones we would check back on to ensure that's right?
We address changes like that through the traffic engineering committee, and I haven't been involved with that committee since I've been back, but that's the way we would, look at either traffic patterns that you want to change, right? The regulation of it with stop signs or one-ways or things like that.
So the third ward alderman could bring those concerns from his residents to the traffic committee.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Anything further? Yes, Mr. Mirza.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I did receive email from Third Ward residents about their concern, and I forwarded the email to our city administrator, Mr. Bob Bites. For any city, affordable house is essential. That's my understanding, but that does not mean that to do that ignoring the concern of citizen. I believe that, and I'm confident that our staffs and Moline Housing Authority, they will work together to mitigate the issue with the residents. And I hope that while implementing this project, they will definitely take into account the issues that raised by the residents and sort it, then implement the project. Thank you very much. I am with the residents. Okay, please.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, hearing nothing further on 7.9, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.10.
Thank you.
7.10, an ordinance approving a preliminary/final development plan for a planned unit development site and rezoning from R2, one-family residence district, to R4 PUD for an approximately 2.24 acre tract of land, commonly known as 1809 14th Avenue and 1803 13th Avenue pins. These are the correct pins. 17-05-200-024 and 17-05-200-022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Schmidt, seconded by Castro. Okay, gotcha. Anything further, Mr. Mathias?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further from the council? Your questions have been answered. Thank you for providing the in-depth answers on traffic and drainage, et cetera. We do expect those to continue to be looked at, as it is a concern of residents in the area. But also thank you for working with MHA to get us more housing, especially with a grant that they have.
Yes.
And also respecting the former longtime owner's wishes that this land do good use for the city. Thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. 7.11, an ordinance amending Chapter 16, Libraries of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 16-3103, Program Application, by repealing Section 16-3103 in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 16-3103 relating to the same subject matter, and amending Section 16-3107 fees by repealing subsection A in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new subsection relating to the same subject matter concerning the City of Moline Compass Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Schmidt, seconded by Finch. Discussion. All clear? Okay, if there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Informational, 8.1, 2024 budget amendments summary. Ms. Barnes.
Yes, thank you,
Nice to see
Your
you
Honor.
again.
Thank you. Every year, the city has the opportunity to amend its budget for action that has been taken throughout the year. And before you tonight is our first budget amendment for 2024, and it includes amendments through August 31st. We are already well on our way through December, and we will bring December amendments to you for your consideration actually in December of 24 after we're done with the budget. The August 24 amendments reflect council action taken by resolution so far this year, inflationary adjustments, staffing changes such as new hires, filling vacancies, promotions, updated CIP projects, additional actual bids like on capital equipment and vehicle costs since the budget was actually adopted November 21st of 2023. Formal budget amendments adopted by council are required to reflect these recent changes to the current budget to avoid any adverse effect to the city's legal budgetary compliance. And if you'd like to follow along, I think it's attachment number 2, and I don't know, maybe you can put that up as well. It's the blue and white Excel sheet, David. I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the major changes. The proposed amendments equate to a net reduction in fund balance of $6,336,000 from the adopted 24 budget. This is primarily due to authorizing spending authority for unspent capital projects in 23 that are carried into 24. This happens every year, and I know it's probably going to happen again next year. The net result equates to a projected ending fund balance at December 24 of $172,711,741. And I'm just going to highlight some of the changes of the revenues and expenditures. If you have that spreadsheet up, it's the middle column primarily that I'm going to look at. So the August amendments will total $158 million in revenues, which is an increase of $11.5 million from the original adopted budget. That $11.5 million includes the following. First of all, property taxes and TIF taxes were just tweaked because of the final certification from the county. Other city taxes are projected down about $140,000. Little tweaks to hotel motel, cable franchise tax, our gasoline tax, and then gas and electric tax. And then we see an increase in our home rule sales tax. So
Home rule what tax?
The home rule sales tax.
Thank you, I just couldn't hear it.
Licenses and permits are down about $233,000, and that's largely due to projected rental housing licenses being down. As you know, we had a hard time estimating that out of the chute. Now we have a much more, a good feeling of what the total licenses are. Our use of money is up $884,000, which is tremendous. Our interest rates have almost doubled from what we were getting. And so that has helped remarkably across the board, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that during the budget sessions as well. So we're happy those are kind of back to where they used to be. Intergovernmental revenue is actually up $4.3 million, and it is primarily due to increases in federal and state grants on some of our capital projects, and it was just the timing of when they're actually occurring. However, that was up almost $7 million, and it is offset, decreased by, I don't remember when we talked about this, if it was last fall or if it was in the spring with the audit, but the state overpaid every city in the state of Illinois for the state property replacement tax credit that we get. And they are doing it over several years. And we don't know the total dollar amount, but we do anticipate it's going to be in the $3 to $3.5 million range. And for the current year, it's going to be about $1.5 million. Because we had talked about it, as you know, we had that money set aside. So it's really not jeopardizing our budget. It will be more the timing of when it actually hits from the state, and we're not real positive on when that is, but that was the largest offset with that. Charges for services are up largely due to Riverside pool admissions, and we had some increased ambulance fees, and then some additional charges from some of our utility funds. And miscellaneous is up $500,000 because of increased donations for our beautiful library garden that's going to be going in. We had no idea what the donations were, but Brian's thrilled that those numbers are solid. And then our transfers in are up about $4.2 million, and that is largely due to, if you remember at the round table, in 2023, we ended the year in the general fund with about $2 million in the black, to the good. So we chose to push that into our special revenue fund. So that's $2 million of that 4.2. In addition, we're transferring $1 million from special capital projects into our CIP. And then we've moved some money between the library and the library garden, and then the timing of some of the ARPA funds. So it's all documented, and it's all things that a lot of them we've already talked about. And then on the expenditure side, our amended expenditures total $162 million, and that's up $17 million from the original budget. And this is largely due to, again, CIP projects and MFT projects being carried over from 23 to the tune of $11.5 million total. So we're carrying those forward.
So what you're saying is we
Largely-
got a lot of capital projects though.
Yeah, and they are, I mean, they've been working so hard, but again, some of the projects, we probably won't get 100% of them done, so it's gonna be some lagging, but most of it was huge federal and state funding, which is wonderful. We aggressively went out after some grants, so it's a very, very positive thing. We also had some change for $800,000 for filling open positions. HR, as you know, have just been working gangbusters. A year ago, we had more than 30, I think it was about 33 open positions we talked about during the budget. And as of the middle of September, those were down by 19. They change daily. I don't know where Leah's at, but so anyway, so the filling of those positions is about $800,000. We had some additional overtime just due to vacancies. A lot of that was in our fire department, but we have to do it when we're not fully staffed. Again, timing with ARPA, some of our outside legal money is up a little bit, and it's largely because our city attorney that we talked about last year, we haven't been able to get that hired yet, so that's helping to fill that gap. And that's primarily the major changes. The general fund, because of the decrease in the state replacement funds that we are already seeing, and then that transfer that we all chose to do to special CIP, we are just under 25%, so well within our fund balance policy. And as we come forward to you with our budget for 25-26, we will remain within that 20 to 25 range. And again, part of that is pulling down those replacement taxes. Our net fund balance in the general fund will remain at, and that's net of all of our TIF advances, $12 million. And our TIF advances are holding steady at $10,400,000 for 2024. All of our other funds, every single one of them, are on track for 2024, and again, within our fund balance policy, and we'll talk about that more during the budget. And this item will be on the agenda on October 22nd for your approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, Mr. Schmidt.
Kara, I'm guessing I know the answer after reading the memo, but is there anything that sticks out here as a major red flag or concern?
The timing of when the state takes back that money. I mean, and we have the money reserved, but it may dip, it may make our fund balances look like they'll dip, but, I mean, that's the.
We put that money away and it's gonna go away.
We just set it
No, it
aside.
is.
We just
Yeah.
set it aside because it was an overpayment. But no, everything is very, very positive. I know engineering wishes that they could get through all the CIP money a little bit faster, but I don't think they can work any faster, and they're not able to get contractors to do the work either, so. But no, feel very, very positive about these numbers.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes.
And just because we're talking amendments and we're heading into December, 2 positive things. And I haven't even had a chance to tell Bob because it just occurred right now.
There you go.
Right now.
Enlighten us.
Yeah. We got our first cannabis payment. And we had talked a week ago that we thought the average would be around 45,000. And again, that's going to be up and down, and it probably maybe will be the average. But our first check was for 53,385. If that would happen to hold, that would be more in the 600 range. So when we talked about the 540 up to the 600, I think that gives us more confidence when we know we've actually had it come to us. And then a new thing this year that happened is they had an Illinois opioid allocation due to a lawsuit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. We'll talk about it more during the budget, but it has to be used for very specific things. And the lawsuit was against some of the pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors. It's money that we're going to get back over a 14 to 15-year period, but we got our first check. And for 2024, there's going to be another little check. We're going to have almost $70,000 this first year. Over the 15 years, it gets gradually going down, anticipated. We won't know for sure. But total will be around $220,000. So during the budget, there's very specific, limited things, again, with compliance to spend it on. But one of the things that we'll talk about for you guys to make a decision where we should spend those funds.
So thank you. Question, Mr. Schmidt.
For that cannabis payment, what time frame was that the payment from? I know there's a long lag.
That was for the month of July. And then between them mailing it in or sending it in, the state reviewing it, and then getting to us, there is not 90 days, it's about 70 days, 75 days turnaround.
Thank you.
It's good news.
Anything else from the council? Looking forward to the next few weeks.
That's right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
Mr. Vitas, 8.2, the October 2024 Status and Information Report.
Yes, always a pleasure to report on the success that the staff is having across the boards. As you know, the Status Information Report summarizes everything going on a monthly basis in the organization across all departments. And just a few highlights. One of the things we'll be doing with the HUD dollars from CED is we're going to be purchasing 3 neighborhood identification communication signs. These are electronic message board signs that will be installed in 3 different locations. One is in the Floreciente neighborhood off of, I believe that is 4th Avenue, where there is a static sign today. So one sign is going to be located there. Another one is going to be in the Uptown area, and the other one is in the Old Town area. No.
One's going to be by
One by Public Works, yes.
East End. Yeah.
Missed one. Seaside, East Side. So, and again, that's drawing down the use of the HUD dollars, which we have to do to be timely. And these 3 projects will be great because we'll be able to put out messaging 24/7, 365. Meeting announcements, special events going on, emergency announcements, you name it, we can do it. So it's going to be really great going forward. Eric's not here, but 18,844 visitors to our swimming pool. It's a record, absolute record. So kudos to the council, this one, the one before even, who gave us the ability to go forward and, borrow the funds to build that facility, which is it's world class. I mean, when it comes to municipal governments, great efforts there. As you know, we did rededicate and dedicate the O'Brien Park at East End. Many of you were there. I saw you. Thanks for coming. What a great event, quite memorable, and a good way to honor the O'Briens. in the utility department, the installation of the 8 new Hack TU5 turbidimeters. I say that right? Turbidimeters? I did. Yeah, there you go. I looked at that 4 times and said, oh my God. So anyhow, great news. I mean, you had approved that purchase. We had some failures take place, and we're up and running at North Slope. So,
Can I ask
yeah.
Mr. Brown a question? In your area, remember the 75K or so we approved for the two-way communication? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Can you tell us how soon that'll be in use? It was just ironic that we approved it and then there was a huge pressure drop and we didn't have it to use, but I had told some residents, that's on its way. It'll be a faster way to get information.
We've already had our first kickoff meeting with it, with the Doppler team. They said roughly about 100 days. So if we got started right away, so that we could try to get into it before the winter season, so we can make use of it, especially for main break call-outs. And I think it'll help Denver when we coordinate our snowplow removal within the city for the workers. So we're hoping to have that 100 days from last week, but it's well on its way, and we expect a lot of success this winter.
Okay, thank you.
One thing that was not on the memo, but I want to point out, and I think it's really, really important for council to know, we are very, very close to rolling out our community development programming, this new software program. It's a part of the discussion goes back to 2021 when we started talking about the one-stop shop. It wasn't just a building, it wasn't just a facility, but it was the back office operation. How does it work, internally with the staff? And how does it engage businesses and citizens looking for licensing and permitting in the city? So we're very close to going live on that. It's just a matter of a couple of weeks, and that thing will be up and running. We're going to be testing it next week, make sure that all the bugaboos are out of it. But once that's up and running, I mean, it's going to give people the ability to sit on their couch at home with their iPad or with their laptop, and pull a permit or apply for a license. And that's just the beginning of what it's capable of doing. I mean, it's going to cover even the liquor licensing can be done that way. So it's a great program. It's taken us literally a year and a half to get this thing up and running. And really, David deserves huge kudos for that. And everybody in the CED department, of course, in all the divisions, as well as in finance. It was a heavy lift, but it will distinguish us as having some of the most advanced interface with our community. Tremendous cost savings, and it gets rid of a lot of this. Paper goes bye-bye. So anyhow, just letting you know that. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention, and I think I handed out to you a news release, and this went out this evening, and I think it's really important to share this with the citizens who either watch this or don't pay attention to the internet that much. But it is official now. We are a gigabyte city. Metronet completed its installation of the 125 miles of buried fiber. And I want to emphasize 125 miles of buried fiber, and adding 60 miles on the city's telephone poles. This is a flip-flop. This is an inverse to a heated discussion that went on many, many years ago in terms of how we were going to run and install fiber throughout the city, because there were many who did not want to see additional wires in the air. Rightfully so. Wires are not the most attractive thing on earth. But to our benefit, to our credit, Metronet did go underground. It could be in part because of getting attachments was difficult through AT&T or through Mid-American, or in some cases topography just required it. But in the end, we ended up with the lion's share, literally the lion's share of our fiber buried, which means that it's much more secure than any overhead lines, as we all know, during a storm event. They, of course, are still looking for customers. Had a knock on my door yesterday, and that was kind of fun, talking to the young guy, seeing a guy who has a job, right? He's got a job, and this created jobs. as people working in the field. But just kind of a snapshot of where we started and where we ended up. When we started in 2019 on this project, and looking for responses to an RFP, there was only two: Geneseo Communications and MediaCom, and a company called Key Tower. Key Tower never was a player, and some of you weren't on the council at the time, but this was reported then. MediaCom came in and said that they would like a $15 million subsidy from the city to make us a gigabyte city and install the fiber. Geneseo Communications came in and said they wanted $20 million, and in addition, $27.50 a month for low to moderate income families. Anybody who was on that food lunch program, we'd have to subsidize them. That was in March of 21. July of 22, we went back on the street, went to bid. Metronet came in and said that they would do it for zero cost and reach out to every home and business in the city. Geneseo Communications lowered their price from 20 million down to 10 million. AT&T came in and said, we'll do it for 15.3 million. And MediaCom said they would do it for 22.1 million. Metronet came in and said they'd do it for zero. Metronet invested in this city $19 million to install fiber throughout this community at zero cost to the taxpayers of this city. So I wanted to share that in summary because this was the first major hurdle to take on back in the summer of 2021. And here we are today, $19 million ahead. So thank you, Metronet, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions from the council? Yes.
I
Ms.
don't have a
Castro.
question, I just have a comment. I read about the HR introducing the inclusive Moline training,
Yes.
so I just wanted to say thank you. I know that's something that we had talked about, having enhanced training for the staff, so thank you very much. I was excited to see that email when it came to my email.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. It was a major lift, and it's been well done.
Thanks.
Okay, what's next? Council call to order, please. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there an invocation, Mr. Schmidt? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy?
Present.
Macias?
Present.
Razak?
Present.
Tamian?
Present.
Finch?
Present.
McNeil?
Present.
Castro? Schmidt?
Present.
Your Honor, I request approval of Committee of the Whole and Council meeting minutes of September 24th, 2024, and consent agenda items number 14.1 through 14.3 inclusively.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, and that motion carries. Non-consent agenda resolutions. Item number 16.1, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a memorandum of understanding regarding the 2024 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant, JAG, between City of Moline, City of Rock Island, and County of Rock Island, setting forth the terms for submitting a joint application for funding to be utilized for criminal justice purposes, and authorizing city staff to do all things necessary to submit the subsequent grant application currently available through the U.S. Department of Justice 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The
We have
motion,
roll-
oh, sorry, it's roll call.
Sorry about
Oops. I did that
Alderperson
wrong.
Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, and that motion carries. Item number 16.2, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a lease agreement with the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation to utilize Bridgepoint 485 1 Montgomery Drive for the U.S. Marines Toys for Tots program and approving the waiver of the lease fees from October 2024 through December 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 16.3, a resolution approving and accepting proposed changes to prior contract language as agreed to and by and between the negotiators for the City of Moline and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council number 77, FOP, relating to wages, hours of work, and certain other conditions of employment effective for the contract period of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a memorandum of understanding incorporating said changes with the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, number 77, FOP, relating to wages, hours of work, and certain other conditions of employment effective for the contract period of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Non-consent agenda, first reading ordinances. Item number 17.1, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Garbage and Trash of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 15-2102, Curbside Recycling Carts, by repealing subsection B in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new subsection B dealing with the same subject matter, and amending Section 15-2200, Fee for Residential Refuse Collection, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 15-2200, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Schmidt.
I just wanted to thank our staff for having walked us through this in a way that was very easy to understand prior to having to read these ordinances. I think that explanation was very helpful by putting it in a way we can understand, and so we kind of know where we're going. I had to make reference back to those conversations looking at this, and just really appreciate as we go through it and helping make sure we set up that our funds are actually enterprise funds operating in a way that they are supporting themselves, so thank you.
The phrase that sticks in my head is, "We're sticking to the plan." That's how you say it, Carol. So, thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 17.2, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-2121, Charges and Collections, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-2121, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 17.3, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-4400, in general, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-4400, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
No roll call.
I'm sorry. Good Lord, yeah. I didn't have
Alderperson
my glasses on. Go ahead.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 17.4, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-3200, Sewerage Rate System, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-3200, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Roll call, discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 17.5, an ordinance amending Chapter 16, Libraries of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 16-3103, Program Application, by repealing Section 16-3103 in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 16-3103 relating to the same subject matter, and amending Section 16-3107, Fees, by repealing subsection A in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new subsection A relating to the same subject matter concerning the City of Moline Compass Program.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Schmidt.
I had a question. Just would you be reminded when the Compass program is launching to go wide in the public, or what the current plan is on that?
Come on up, Brian.
Yes, and November 1st is the hard launch we have scheduled for that, and we are still on track for that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anything further? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion to advance to second reading carries, and that is all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. Just a couple things under miscellaneous from me. Number one, last week I attended the report on the Quad City Health Assessment, Comprehensive Health Assessment. Are we okay, David?
It's going.
Okay, no problem. Which is done every 3 years, coordinated by Quad City Health Initiative and experts from the state. It was not a fun morning. There are a lot of adverse health effects that our community experiences. The whole Quad Cities is what is studied, but Rock Island County in particular has some pretty bad outcomes, anything from cancer, domestic violence, addictions, reporting of mental health problems. So that being said, I know people are working on it, but a lot of it came back to, of course, the economic conditions for our community. And so I think that the fact that we are focused on creating opportunity to improve economic conditions in individual households, and also all across the city finding other opportunity. I know it was really nice to hear you talk about the training you're going to and asking them to sign you up for the, what was it, employment? Workforce development, thank you, because he knows that's something we care about. I mean, those are all things that are pointed toward us trying to combat the variables that really do impact the overall health of our community. So that official report will come out on, I believe it's October 31st. But I was just part of a preview with community leaders, so I wanted to let you know about that. And secondly, you have the ARC letter about their request. It came in just after our conversation 2 weeks ago about payments to agencies. So I wanted to let you know what the conversation was. This is a project they've been interested in, but I know Mr. Vitas will have more to say about it and any potential or lack of potential for this in our upcoming budget and future meetings. But I wanted you to have that part of it, okay? That is all from me. Yes, Murphy, Mr. Macias?
Yes, Your Honor. This Friday is the official ribbon cutting for Take Cover. which is a new bar, cocktail tiki bar, right next to Analog. So, we talk about placemaking. That's definitely a unique spot for the whole Quad Cities region. So, they're officially going to open. And then the court chilling in the courtyard is happening this Saturday, and that's the spot between River House and, well, right next to River
Dead
House.
Poets.
They're gonna have and Dead Poets. Yes, thank you. So there's some activities happening this weekend. Check them out. And and finally, I was at the store this weekend, and with my family, my kids, my wife, and resident came up to me and asked, "Hey, are you Alderman Timian?" And I said,
You're not the only ones that get confused.
I didn't know what to expect. Usually you expect a complaint, but no, she actually thanked me and thanked all the work that we're doing, and that normally we hear complaints, and I told her, well, I thought you were going to complain about something, in all honesty. But she wanted to thank myself and the council for all the work that we do, and we don't ever hear that. And so I wanted to share that with everybody. It made my day, and I wanted to share that with everybody here.
Thank
So,
you.
mhm.
Mr. Razak.
No, thanks, Ibrahim.
Mr. Timian.
I was mistaken for Alderman Macias the other day too, and I couldn't think of anything fast enough. Nothing, Your Honor.
Mr.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
I'm surprised, McNeil and Timian, you didn't talk about the neighborhood dinner you all went
yes,
to.
well, I wasn't confused for Alderman Timian because he was there. So,
I can gladly share. There were two events that we went to over this weekend for the East End neighborhood. One was at O'Brien Park, which was the East End neighborhood group, and it was a picnic where we got to meet a tailgate party. We got to meet quite a few residents in the area, and then on Sunday night, we met with a different neighborhood group because that neighborhood now is split between the two wards. We were both invited, and it was really, really nice to just hear from residents. Some had concerns, some had questions, but I think at the end of the day, they were happy to have representatives from the city there. The mayor showed up as well for a while, just to listen and talk to them, and they were able to realize that, oh, their neighborhood group wasn't invited to the monthly meeting. And so Dan is taking care of that, and it's these connections that we make along the way and putting faces to names that really help people feel comfortable with their city government and to know that their concerns can be heard. And sometimes the concerns are minor, sometimes they were fairly large concerns that we had to talk through, but at the end of the day, it was a pleasure to be part of the process.
Also to say that it's great to hear, when you couple that with the signs, with good gatherings, with actual neighborhood meetings, ward meetings, et cetera, we're taking steady steps toward that objective we added to the strategic plan about improving our social infrastructure, our relationships with one another. I've expressed this at the working group of staff. It's really important in polarized times to continue to fight that by pulling people together so they know one another. And so I think we've expressed a couple ideas through whether it's MCDC or that particular working group or committee, for how to continue that. So thank you. I'm glad you got to experience that. All right, Mr. Vitas.
Just briefly, we received our report, was presented today at the project management team meeting regarding the Kone Tower. And lo and behold, IMEC completed the report, and we're happy to report that the tower is structurally sound and that it can be used as an observation deck going forward, which was a major concern. Is it sound or not? Because a lot of the plans were evolving around that tower and whether it would stand or go. So as it stands today, it doesn't go down. It stays where it's at. And we also know that the demolition that's being planned for the other aspects of the building can take place and be done carefully without disrupting what is a freestanding tower on its own base. So that's the good news. So what we do with it long range will be up to council in the future, and as that plan gets concluded, now MKSK knows that that element is done. We continue to wait for the report from Sam Schwartz and Associates on the traffic movement back and forth between 19th Street and the southbound off-ramp at I-74. I expect that we'll be seeing that report probably this month sometime, toward, probably middle of the month, maybe the end. But that report will speak very deliberately to the issue of accessibility between 19th and the southbound ramp going north into the property, which, the IDOT folks would like to keep restricted. And it's really not IDOT, it's the Federal Highway Administration. Anytime there's a federal highway, they like to restrict access as far back as they can. And the mall's a good example of that, between 16th and the ramps going on I-74. On the north side is restricted, just so you know. That's why there's no roadway there. So that's what's going on with that project. It's all good. And Mayor, did you want me to just mention community engagement manager? So I will. I know she's thrilled. So anyhow, after a long search and a lot of interviews through the HR department, we were able to retain the services of an in-house employee who's thrilled to be joining the executive team and will be transitioning out of CED, but Ashley Allen is being appointed as the community engagement manager for the city. So you'll be looking forward to more interaction with her, whether it's going to be the ward meetings or neighborhood meetings or mayor good gathering meetings, you name it. We're getting ready to roll again and change how we reach out to the public with Ashley's assistance. So she'll be transitioning over the next 30 days because, as you know, CD's got a lot of work going on. So we didn't want to disrupt them and just leave Bettina to have to deal with everything in KJ. So, over the next 30 days by Veterans Day, she'll be on board full-time in the executive department. So passing that on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from staff? Chief?
Yeah, just real brief, I'd like to draw your attention to a guest I have here today, Lieutenant Derek Colson. So over the last about 10 months, you've probably seen an extra police officer here. I really haven't brought it up too much. You probably thought, well, he's protecting Alderman Timian from Alderman Macias or something. So I've been requiring my staff this year, the lieutenants, which are our senior executive team, to attend a city council meeting. This is part of our succession planning, our long-term succession planning, and requiring them to come to at least one council meeting to see how city government operates from this parliamentary procedure to presentations or discussions. And so I've gotten some pretty good feedback from all of them that have attended so far. They've kind of spread it out a little bit and strategically avoided the midnight meeting, which I think was actually scheduled for, and suddenly backed out last time. But anyway, so I think it's been good for the staff, my staff, to see what you all do to make decisions, and then how we connect what we are doing internally, the police department or the other department directors are doing as well, to connect to the strategic plan, city goals, or comments that you guys make. To help us continue to provide high-quality policing in the city of Moline. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment, Chief? Probably not. No? Okay. Believe we have executive session.
Your Honor, I make a motion that the council convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion of property acquisition -5 ILCS 120/2C5.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Murphy, seconded by Schmidt. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Schmidt?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Macias?
Aye.
Razak?
Aye.
Timian?
Aye.
Finch?
Aye.
McNeil?
Aye.
Castro?
Aye.
The ayes, no nays. That motion carries.
All right. Thank you all.